Talk to me.
What is happening, people of YouTube? How you doing? How you living? How you feeling? It's a great day to be great, and that's what we're trying to do here. Monday Night Football, Jets, Chargers. You know, every time I see the Jets on primetime, Badaki, I say to myself, like, damn, this would have been an awesome game if Aaron Rodgers was healthy. Every time I say that.
To be fair, though, to the Jets, they have been like the one against the Chiefs was pretty good. That was a good primetime game.
Oh, yeah. No, they're playing better than I think any of us anticipated.
With Zach Wilson.
With Zach Wilson, yeah.
Which is, he's getting better and better every week. But, I mean, this game would have been 10 times better with Aaron Rodgers. But I agree.
100%. But at least it's going to be a good one. Lots of interesting names. Obviously, you got Garrett Wilson. You got Breece Hall. On the Chargers side, you've got Eckler, Herbert, Keenan. Maybe somebody starting, what's the tight end's name? Maybe
Gerald Everett?
Yeah, Gerald Everett. And I am facing you in our home league, and my superstar squad fell apart this week in a way that's undescribable, to the point where only one player scored over 10 points on my entire team.
And I'm
Travis
pretty
Kelce,
sure
disappointment. I mean, like, it just goes on and on and on. All these players disappointing me. I am down by 58 points, 59 actually, if you round it up, and I have Justin Herbert and Garrett Wilson left against you. It is
doable.
a PPR format. It is 6-point passing touchdown, but I'm gonna lean on the high likelihood that it does not happen. I've gone ahead and mentally gone to the place and said, yes, I lost this matchup, and that's okay.
Yeah. I mean, look, I'm surprised I won this week. I'll be completely honest with you. I mean, I started Tank Dell over Clayton Tune in a Superflex league. I thought Clayton would at least give me at least 10 points.
You started Clayton over Tank Dell, actually.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. Sorry. And I wasn't expecting Tank Dell to go off. By the way, CJ Stroud, what a guy. Huh?
Oh, yeah. Yeah, he looks great. Clearly the number one in the class thus far.
It's awesome.
What is up, people? Thanks for joining us. Do us a favor, go ahead and hit that like button as you join the stream today. Very simple way for you to help this channel grow, to show us some love and some support. We're going to be answering questions all the way up until kickoff. We'll go from top to bottom. Super chats will get prioritized. Go ahead and answer the first one there, Badaki. I'll be right back. Sorry.
Yeah, I think it starts with Shane here. Just casually need Keenan Allen to get 35.5 PPR fantasy points tonight. Hey, good luck, brother. I hope the best for you. Genuinely, I hope the best, but at the same time, I hope that doesn't happen, because that means Justin Herbert has to go off, and Zach has Justin Herbert tonight. But we appreciate you. Eric, how you doing? Says, hey guys, week 10 quarterback start. Question: start Cleveland D or at Baltimore? Yes, we say this all the time. You kind of start your stars. Cleveland has been phenomenal, obviously having a good bounce back game against the Arizona Cardinals this past week. So it wasn't great last time. Or stream Chicago defense versus Carolina. Colts has a field day yesterday. Only other option on waiver wire is Arizona, Denver, Carolina, Washington. I personally will still be going Cleveland defense. Those sacks, those turnovers are probably most likely going to happen even in the divisional game. So don't change that there, Eric. So I think Zach will also agree going into it. You start Cleveland. See, MH1608, do or die situation. Need to win full PPR 8-team league. Can't wait around for Devontae Adams. Need a solid wide receiver or two for him. That can help me now. Also receivers or two for Jacobs. So you're just saying you need to trade away Devontae Adams to get a solid wide receiver. I'm assuming. I mean, you definitely can. I don't know what type of value you can get for Devontae Adams. I think he can still be a premium player for you or somebody else. But yeah, look, one of my biggest concerns coming into this year was the inconsistencies. That I think is going to continue. I would say maybe even heightened to the next level now with Aiden O'Connell, in my personal opinion. Maybe Zach thinks may see that a little bit differently.
I just think Aiden O'Connell actually played well. He looked good.
He did.
And
he did.
They won this game 30-6. They didn't really need to throw the ball. So, yeah, it's obviously not ideal without Aaron Rodgers, but or Derek Carr. But I think he will have better games.
Yeah.
But yeah, of course, like, let us know what trade offers are out there for you. We'll be happy to give feedback. Patrick Mahomey, what is up, man? Should I drop Minshew for Keaton Mitchell? I have Purdy as my starter and I only have 3 running backs. So I was I was very curious to hear what your thoughts are on Keaton Mitchell, because I made the waiver wire video this week. I talked about Keaton Mitchell. He's my number 3 pickup behind the likes of Kyler Murray, behind the likes of Tank Dell if he's somehow out there in some people's leagues. And I more view him as a stash. Like, to me, this is not a blow all your fab for Devon Achane, or, you know, blow it all for Kyron Williams, or go hard after Jerome Ford. It doesn't feel like that to me. And I got a lot of pushback from people on that video saying, I don't watch football.
You actually don't.
I have no idea what I'm talking about. And maybe I'm misreading the Keaton Mitchell situation. I think he has earned a role, but I don't believe that he's going to be someone that you can start. So if you're going to go out there and blow fab and dump all your fab on him, then, you know, are you going to start him this week versus the Browns? Are you? I mean, right. 55% of his attempts came after the team was up 23-3.
Exactly.
105 yards of his 138 came after the team was up 23-3. So 75% of his yardage came after that point. I think he has earned a role. And I think Justice Hill could become irrelevant. But to me, this is like, I was genuinely shocked by the amount of people who were like, you're an idiot, you don't know ball. It's like, I like Keaton Mitchell. I was talking about this guy on our Dynasty channel, you know? But at the same time, like, I don't feel like this is a dump your fab situation. What do you think? So I was curious to hear your thoughts.
Look, I don't think it's a dump your fab situation either. I think you have to, with the context, I think it's pretty big. I think if they were in this game, if the Seahawks was going blow for blow, and you're telling me that Keaton Mitchell had 14 attempts, the same amount of, 14 snaps, the same amount that Gus Edwards had in this game, we're having a different conversation. We're saying he's earned a role, how important he is to this team. In that scenario, if it was 2020 and Keaton was splitting it with Gus Edwards, but that wasn't the case. Like Zach said, they were up, what was it, 27-3, and then that's exactly where you saw 23-3, and you saw Keaton Mitchell come in and then have an amazing game and breaking some tackles and running for over 100-something yards. I think I'm willing to spend fab on him, but I'm not willing to blow all of my fab on him.
Yeah.
And I think that is the biggest thing for me.
15 to 20%. What would you look at?
Yeah, I would be around there as well, you know, and I think a lot of people right now in this scenario probably don't have that, depending on how much fab you do have. You know, our leagues, we have 100 fab, which I think we could potentially do a little bit more later on to play how serious, by the way, I guess waiver wires has been. Anyways, a side conversation, but yeah, look, I'm happy to do 10 to 15 fab for Keaton here.
I think if you need a running back, he should be your number 1 pickup, but I also don't feel comfortable starting him next week.
I would say in this scenario with Minshew and you have Brock Purdy as your quarterback coming back, and you're in a 1 quarterback league that you're just going to set and forget Brock Purdy, I'm happy to do that.
I agree.
But I think there's a lot of scenarios that we're going to get into throughout this week that we're probably going to say we would rather have that other player over Keaton, most likely. So keep that in mind.
Joe, what's up, man? Foreman, Thomas, and Dobbs, pick 2. I guess that's for this, week 10. I guess is the conversation there. Deonta Foreman, Thomas, is that Michael Thomas?
Michael Thomas.
Romeo Dobbs. So keep in mind, guys, that Khalil Herbert is back. When Khalil Herbert and Rashawn Johnson were healthy, Deonta Foreman was inactive. Now, maybe he's earned a role, probably. But I don't believe he's someone you're going to want to start moving forward. Now, Michael Thomas is coming off a game with 1 target. And Dobbs is in a rough situation too. So there's no clear answer here, but I would probably pick the 2 wide receivers.
Yeah, I think what's the goal with Herbert? Is he back? If he is going to be back this week, yeah, I would rather go to 2 wide receivers. But as we get closer and closer to this week in week 10, Joe, maybe Khalil Herbert won't be ready to play this week. So keep that in mind. It's a short week as well. They do play Thursday night. Yeah. So
they did designate him to return. But obviously we don't know if that's going to mean activation.
Yeah.
So we'll wait and see on that. But it would be cool if Thursday night he had the injury and he comes back a Thursday night. But anyway, guys, over 40 people watching the stream. Thanks so much for hanging out with us. Do us a massive favor. Go ahead and hit that like button for us just quickly. Simple way for you to support the channel. Such an easy way for you to support the channel. So do us a favor. Hit that like button. We are answering questions from top to bottom. Super chats do get answered straight away. The next question in order is from Bike Walker. What's up? I have Mahomes on bye. I need to stream a quarterback this week. Here's the top quarterback off waivers: Dobbs, Carr, Geno, Watson, Howell, Mayfield, Dobbs. Double Dobbs there. Yeah, it would be Howell for me. He said Dobbs looks good, was leaning that way. I think Dobbs is a fine option, but it would be Howell for me if I had all of those options at Seattle. Washington's defense is not going to stop the Seattle Seahawks like the Ravens did. So I'm anticipating potentially big points here. Washington's going to need to throw the ball. Seattle played horribly, but they're not a bad team. The Lions played horribly against this Ravens defense. They're not a bad team. None of us believe that. So I think we could see a lot of points in that game. And it would be Sam Howell for me based off what we've seen this year. But I do really like Dobbs a lot moving forward.
Okay. I am going to Sam Howell here as well. I would say my second close, coming off this bad loss here, especially the way the Washington Commanders give up a lot of points. I say Geno Smith is close second.
Yes.
They currently give the most points to the quarterback position, and still the third most points to the wide receiver position. So that could be a good indication to start Geno Smith this week. If I'm not mistaken, they go back home as well, which is also great.
Yeah.
So definitely keep that in mind.
I'm really glad you mentioned that
second.
because I brought him as a streaming option on the waiver wire video, and a lot of people were just like, he's awful. Don't play him. I'm like, the Washington secondary is arguably worse, so you can't play.
Yeah.
Next question is from X Shay. What's up, man? Trade away Bijan and Cup for Henry and Adams. I still prefer Bijan and Cup here. Obviously, Bijan, words can't describe how frustrating it is.
I just don't know if
Arthur Smith in general, the way he thinks that he's smarter than everyone. I think Josh Dobbs winning that game was a win for everyone. But what I would say is when Matthew Stafford is back, it could be this week or the week after, or after the bye week rather. Cup's going to be incredible still, so it would be Bijan and Cup for me.
Yeah, I would agree. I would say this. If I'm a Bijan owner and I'm somehow still winning, I'm looking to pivot. It's not a Bijan Robinson thing. It's not that I don't believe in Bijan. It's just that he's not getting utilized the right way. And if somebody out there, it does believe that those things are going to change, especially after this week, because I do agree, like the best thing for Bijan is for Josh Dobbs to lose. Or to win and beat the Falcons, excuse me. I'm looking to pivot in any way possible. And what does that look like? I'm not necessarily sure. Because Bijan, with the options out there, is not exciting.
Well, let's go through some names then. Bijan and David Montgomery.
Monty.
Yeah, that's close for me because I do think that Gibbs has earned a larger role. But I just see Monty as an integral part of that offense. I think I would agree with you, Montgomery. What about Jonathan Taylor? Or Bijan,
JT, he's getting his workload back, and I like what we saw this past week. So, at this moment, yes, with the expectation that Taylor gets that 74% workload this week. Yeah, but what he got this week, I'm interested in Jonathan Taylor.
Okay, Josh Jacobs, I would do over Bijan.
I would do Josh Jacobs.
How about like an Aaron Jones, a Tony Pollard, a Ken Walker? Because to me, that's too far down. Personally.
I think they're all in the same boat. I think of somebody like this, Devon
Achane. So you rather have Achane over Bijan?
I'm thinking like if he's going to continue to have crazy, these crazy games.
What does that say for Dynasty then?
What do you mean? What does that say for that? I mean, for Dynasty, yeah, it just all depends on if Arthur Smith is here or not next year, which he could be, or if he's not, then
I just love the respect on Achane. I mean, I'm
Bijan all the way.
That's even a conversation here.
And I think I think of Breece Hall as well. I'd rather have Breece Hall.
I think that's a clear 100%. Everyone would agree.
What about someone like Saquon Barkley?
I don't think you get that done either.
No, okay.
To me, Saquon, Etienne, Kamara, Breece, those are all. I don't imagine anyone trades them away for Bijan. So
for Bijan, yeah. I mean, look, that's kind of what I would be thinking. If I'm, I don't know, what can you be now with 7-1 or 8-1 right now, or
9 wins, yeah, 8-1.
If you're above 500 and you have Bijan right now, and you know that you feel like the situation is not going to get better, I would pivot from Bijan, if I personally can.
Yeah.
But in this scenario, Henry and Devontae Adams, I actually do believe it's close because I think Derrick Henry is going to be better with Will Levis. So I just rather have Cup over Devontae Adams. That's the hard part.
Chad
Hopefully that helps,
says,
actually.
down 17 and Brees playing. Do you think he will show up today against the Chargers? He definitely has a great chance. You know, it's if you're saying I'm down 10, I'd lock it in as a win. But 17, that's pretty happy medium there. I think it's 50-50. Tyler says, start Olave, Metcalf, Tank Teller, Thielen. I'm assuming that this is this upcoming week, and Metcalf shouldn't be viewed as a must start anymore. I don't think, and we even talked about that, the last couple weeks. One of the reasons I really didn't want to draft Metcalf at his ADP was he's just not returned ADP for years. It would be Olave and Thielen for me.
It would be Olave and Thielen for me as well. I might know Thielen coming off a bad game, but playing the Bears on Thursday night here, away if I'm not mistaken, or it might be at home. Yeah, away, and the Bears do give up a lot of points to the wide receiver position, so I'm happy there. Ralph said being all for Josh Jacobs for Kyron Williams, good trade. I'd rather have Josh Jacobs long term.
Yeah, same. It's not really close for me either. I mean, 26 opportunities last week. I know he didn't technically get a target, but I remember at least one instance in which he caught a ball and went for like 15 yards, and it was called back due to penalty. So I don't think he's completely uninvolved in the passing game. AJ Stars, what's up, man? One quarterback standard, Stroud on my bench. Should I trade Stroud for Madison, or should I look into getting more? Maybe Madison and Miles Sanders. I'll be honest, I know we don't typically value quarterbacks that highly in a one quarterback league, but I don't know. Madison,
Stroud,
man, I'm just not even sure.
Stroud in a standard league right now is QB7. I think he's pretty valuable.
Well, he did just put up 50 points.
Sure. I would also say, who's the other quarterback? AJ. I think that is big. Like if you have someone like a Tua, a Lamar, a Patrick, a Jalen, a Justin Herbert, I'm happy to move off Stroud to get that depth piece.
Yeah.
If you need, it looks like you're trying to send away the quarterback to get a running back in need because you might be struggling with injury. I'm happy to do that.
I just don't like the idea of Madison being that running back, and he's going to get more opportunities. Maybe I honestly think he's going to return ADP, which is great to see as someone who liked him before the year. But he's not someone I really like moving forward. And there are a lot of other names like James Conner I'd rather go out and get coming off an injury. Should be back soon. A Brian Robinson, a Jerome Ford, a James Cook even. Obviously the likes of like a Devon Achane, if that's possible. Probably not.
Yeah.
Pacheco. But, yeah, it's just I'm not sure how much I can trust Madison. So that's tough. Thoughts on Gibbs' rest of season? I still feel the same way
about it,
as we did last week, which was he's earned a larger role for himself, but David Montgomery is still the heart and soul of that offense, in my opinion. Like, I think there's a chance that Jahmyr Gibbs' touches increase, but I don't think that means Monty's less involved. And I also don't see Gibbs taking away any sort of goal line opportunities. I still think that's Montgomery's job. He's excelled in his job and what they've asked him to do. But in PPR leagues, I'm still excited for Gibbs.
Yeah, I'm still excited for Gibbs as well. I think what's going to happen now, in my opinion, is if they're down, I think that's where they use Gibbs significantly because they saw how he can benefit when they were down.
Yeah.
I'm just not sure if that opportunity is going to come this year with their schedule. But we'll wait and see. Mr. Green said, I'm 11.5 points behind. I have Keenan Allen. You guys think I have a chance? 100%. Keenan Allen should easily score 11.5. It is a tough matchup.
If it's PPR, yeah, you should win.
If it's PPR, but you should win. Jimmy T, Week 10, Jordan Love, or Ridley for my super flex.
Yeah, Jordan Love, a lot of people telling us Jordan Love was the MVP. Remember that? Weeks 1 to 3, weeks 1 to 2. Hey, you guys are too low on Love. He's the MVP. It has not looked good. Like, that inefficiency caught up real quick.
Yeah.
But I would still start Jordan Love because he has a better chance at a touchdown.
He does have a better chance at a touchdown. Yeah, I'll go.
I'll say it like this: like I like Calvin Ridley still. I'm not out on Calvin. Obviously, like you and I have been defending him when not many people would recently, but Calvin has scored 7 or fewer points in 4 matchups. Jordan Love hasn't done that this year. He only has 1 game under 16 or 14 points in a 6-point passing touchdown league. So,
yeah. Nicholas, 16 team PPR, 1 quarterback. Should I trade London and JSN for D Hop and Kyler? 16 team, 1 quarterback. I think for me, this depends on who your quarterback is, and I think this is a good conversation. When it comes down to Kyler, I said this last week. I was like, if Kyler comes back this week, I'm happy to pivot to someone like a Kyler because he's going to get his feet underneath him. He should perform better during the fantasy playoffs. Just all depends who your second quarterback is there, Nick, or your first quarterback is. Because if this is an upgrade, like if you have a Dak Prescott or Jared Goff, or Brock Purdy or Jordan Love, I'm happy to pivot to Kyler Murray, but I think if you have the top tier guys, the Josh Allens, the Herberts, the Mahomes, the Mars, the Tuas, I would rather happy to pivot away from Kyler Murray and sell him high to get something in return.
I'm with you in the sense of like it depends on what your quarterback is, especially in a 16-teamer. That makes those elite position like one play positions more important. Tight end, quarterback, much more important in a 16-man than it would be in a 12-man because of how scarce they are. They can make a big impact in your lineup. But of course, it would depend on who your quarterback is currently. What I would say is just quickly on Dak Prescott, though. Like, I don't think he's going to be as good as he's been like in the last 2 weeks necessarily, but I have confidence in starting him rest of season.
I think they have a pretty decent schedule, if I'm not mistaken.
They are great matchups upcoming. Yeah, great schedule, and they're kind of clicking now through the year. But it really depends on your options there. If it's a huge upgrade, I'm happy with it. And honestly, I think we can say with Will Levis, D Hop is the most confident starter of those 3 names anyway. And I love JSN. Should I trade Swift for Pacheco and Gibbs/Connor? In a 16 team, I think I'd definitely do that. If I get Pacheco and honestly, dude, can you get Connor and Gibbs instead? Because that would be more intriguing to me. I'm not out on Pacheco, but Gibbs and Connor would be the ones I would prefer. But yeah, either way, I think it's a great deal for you considering it's a 16-man league. So that depth is important.
Yeah, the depth is important as well. I think the one I would rather have out of everyone here is Swift. I know he just had a bad game.
I agree. I think we all agree, but
yeah,
that's not an option for him. He's trading away Swift.
Not. Yeah, I get it. He said, should I trade A-Chain for a Cup as well? I'm assuming this is a 14-man league. All depends on 16, that depth as well. Or 16, sorry.
Everything's about depth here. There's way more context needed. We just got a super chat from Brian. Thank you for the donation, man. Appreciate you. My guys, trade Thielen for Hollywood Brown. I am all in trading for Hollywood. He's been someone that I've traded for in so many Dynasty leagues this offseason, as well as Kyler Murray. I am ready for this return. But I think it should be cheaper than Adam Thielen. I don't think it should cost that much.
Adam Thielen is a high price right now.
Like I would be comfortable trading away like a George Pickens, a DeAndre Hopkins, even like a Tank Dell. I know he just had a great game. A Tyler Lockett, a Chris Godwin, but Adam Thielen is a little bit too rich, I think.
Yeah, I completely agree there. So hopefully that helps, Brian. We appreciate you in that super chat. Thank you so much, guys. Back to the top here. Let's see. I think the next question was from Jimmy, who scores more tonight, Herbert or Eckler? Honestly, we have no idea.
Probably Herbert, but
probably Herbert, yeah.
You have to think about it. I mean, if Eckler scores a touchdown, a lot of times that can come through the air for him. And whereas with Eckler, he's kind of reliant upon Herbert. Herbert can score touchdowns with other people, so it's going to be close, though.
Yeah. Hey, Diamond, so what up, fellas? Bijan is killing me. Is that we're trying to work a trade for Algier.
No, I wouldn't trade.
I think we kind of spoke about it here. I'm happy to trade away Bijan. to get somebody a little bit more consistent if you could. But hopefully that helps. But Tyler Algier is not somebody we would want at all, to be honest. Is Renfro a good ad with now Aiden rest of the season?
No.
No. I just think that they really didn't need to do anything.
Yeah. I mean,
like
Hunter Renfro's season high is 5 points in PPR. Less if you're in a half PPR. It's just no.
Yeah, there's no point. Slate, as a Seahawks fan, that's not only got smoked yesterday. Okay.
As a Seahawks fan, that not only got smoked yesterday, but also lost my pick'ems just because of Jamar Chase. I'm losing my sanity.
Oh no.
And then he injured his back as well. So we'll have to monitor his progress. But if you have T. Higgins, get ready for some good weeks.
Joe T. Swift Cat is worth 60 million on network. Okay. I don't know. I don't know what he's trying to say there. But
that is ridiculous. Donald says, thanks guys for telling me to start certain players. I won it all for money leagues. I love that. I'm glad that's helpful. Brandon, it says Badaki. People always spell your name wrong, hey? I mean, to be fair, it's like, how the hell do you spell that?
It's pretty difficult.
What we thinking on Barkley? Try and get rid before the deadline? Which I guess it's his fantasy deadline. Is what he's asking.
If this is your fantasy deadline, if this is Dynasty, I think there's two ways you can look at it. You can keep Barkley and hope that he gets traded to a better team, that he can just have an even higher ceiling. I mean, he has the high.
Sorry guys.
Hold on. Hear me?
I can hear you. Can they hear you? Go ahead and talk.
Hello.
They should be able to hear you. Yeah, you know how my computer does that really sick thing where everything that's connected via USB or Bluetooth just disconnects randomly?
Yeah.
That's what just happened, but they should be able to hear you.
Okay. I'm really my lips are really off sync, by the way. I don't know why. I'm looking at it right now potentially, but it's okay.
I'm not sure.
Brandon, I will say this really short. If you're in a dynasty, I'm happy to keep Saquon unless you can pivot to a younger running back that you like. Because if he does get traded to another team or he does hit free agency, you hope that with that better team, he has a higher ceiling because he's been doing what he's been doing on a bad offense with bad offensive line.
Sorry, go ahead. My bad.
But in redraft, I'm happy to keep him. I think they're just going to run the ball with Saquon now for the rest of the season. I think he does have really tough matchups. We have to play the Eagles twice and then also the Cowboys next week. But the rest of the games could just be Saquon Barkley games. So hopefully that is helpful.
If you're rebuilding, would you send Saquon away for a first rounder?
I guess it depends. I mean, yeah, if I'm rebuilding, I guess you could.
Because you and I can make a deal right now. In the Alpha League.
I guess it depends on what league. Okay.
Alpha League. I can send you a first rounder for Say.
Okay, it depends on where the first rounder is. Is that a late first, mid first, early first?
Well, I guess it just depends on how the playoffs go.
so that first is in the playoffs, it sounds like. Yeah. And then I would rather not take the first then because it's.
So what would you sell him for then?
I'm happy if it's like a 100, obviously it's not 100%, but like a mid first.
Okay. So would a first and second get the job done then?
We just don't know that. Where's the second as well?
The second is probably late as well.
Yeah.
What's making you hold on to Saquon, I guess?
What's making me hold on to Saquon is that I actually don't think that he is going to. He's not going to, in my opinion, decline. If anything, like I said, I was saying, his value could get even higher depending on the team he goes to. There's a lot of teams that he could have gone to if he does hit free agency. The reason why he didn't is because of the tag. And a lot of those teams could have been for example, the Bills, right? What if he goes to the Bills next year? Saquon value is going to skyrocket. What if he goes to whatever team that what if he goes to the Ravens, right?
Sure.
next year. Like his value is just going to be better next year. And I'm not saying that I'm expecting his value to get higher. I just would rather keep him now if
what
he
if
is
I give
going.
you a first next year instead of this year then?
And it's first in 25. I would rather have the first in 24. But
I don't know how to get a deal done here.
My thing is in your situation in the Alpha League, you're a contending team. Your first that you're gonna have is late.
You're not going to sell him to anything other than a contending team, though.
Yeah, and that's fine. And that's why I would rather hold on to him instead of getting the 111.
Okay.
You know, like your team is the best team in the Alpha League. Let's be honest.
Maybe.
and you know that. I mean, isn't this a team that has like? This isn't the team that you have like Travis Kelce. You have like Patrick Mahomes.
That's the Bravo League.
Okay, that's that one.
I mean, it's a good team for sure, but I don't know if it's the best. There's some pretty good teams in that league.
Right. I just envision your team going a long way, and you're first right now. You're 7-1. That is, you're saying depends on the playoffs goes. So in reality, right there, I'm probably gonna have the 110.
I don't know.
You could.
I just lost this week to someone who's 5-3. So I mean, that's what I'm saying. I have no idea where the pick will be, but
yeah, and I think if you were somewhere, if you were like on the bottom of the contending, if you were like one of the 5-3 teams, I was like, I'm happy to risk it, but I feel like you would be one of the teams at least in the top 3. Well, no, I guess bottom 3.
Yeah, I mean, I just don't know how to get a deal done here. I want to get a deal done.
I get it.
The thing is, I feel like you're only hurting yourself because in that format that we play, like Saquon is literally hurting your picks. Holding Saquon could literally be the reason you don't get one of those top 3 players this year. Every week, Saquon is on your roster. You are adding points, and you are hurting your own picks. That's where, like, the way our structure is formatted in those leagues,
I think like
it's like you are actively hurting yourself by keeping Bijan or Saquon.
Saquon, I get it, and I don't think he's been the reason why I've won games though. He's been out.
It doesn't matter how many games you win. It matters how many points you put up. Max points for is hurting you every single week.
Sure.
I think like you keeping Saquon right now, and again, like, don't sell him to me if you don't want to, or maybe someone else out there. But you keeping Saquon is genuinely going to hurt where your picks are. Yeah, it will be the reason that your picks are lower than you want them to be. Without doubt, it will be.
And that's okay. And I think I would rather have those hurt 1 or 2 spots than, let's say, if I'm in the top 5 or 6. Okay. I'd rather that hurt 1 or 2 spots than me sell Saquon to have the 111.
Okay. Sure, but, I hear you.
Yeah.
Well, I tried.
I'm down. I'm happy to move Saquon. I think I haven't. Everyone.
You are though. I don't know.
I am. I'm just don't want it. I don't want it for the last 3 picks. The last 3, like you are literally 7-1. I don't want it for the 111 or the 112. Yes, it could go anyway.
Okay.
We say this all the time to people. We say literally every single time. Where are those first at?
I get it. But I also I don't really think that. Like, do you really believe that someone's going to give you a top 4 pick for Saquon Barkley right now?
No, I'm not saying they would. But if one of those 5-3 teams come to me and say, "Yo, I don't know, hypothetically, one of their running backs get injured, and like I need somebody, I can compete. I just need somebody." I'd rather take a chance on one of those teams. Those are all hypotheticals. Yeah. Not saying it will happen.
Sure.
But I'd rather hold out, and if not, then I'll still keep Saquon, and then I can sell him later to somebody for whatever that looks like, and I'll take a risk later at a different time. Or, maybe something changes next year. My team.
Maybe.
Yeah. Who knows? Anyways.
Maybe. I mean, you need to replace Daniel Jones, and you're not doing that with Saquon on your team. But
no, I'll be a top 4 pick. It looks like at the moment.
I don't know if you're looking at max 0.4 though.
No, I mean.
But anyway.
Yeah, we just don't know.
Anyway, Brendan is the next question. Need Herbert to score less than 28. Jets.
Well, we didn't answer a max, by the way.
Okay.
Sorry. Say realistic trade away targets for Jahan. Oh well, there you go. Realistic trade away targets for Jahan Rashad. I mean, we say this all the time.
Max, this is too open of a question.
Yeah.
These are the kind of questions we'd answer over on our fantasy hotline where we give people personalized advice. But on streams like today, we do appreciate you being with us. But I mean, there's so many options. It's genuinely like going to the Sonic drive-thru and asking them, how many different combinations of drinks you guys have?
Yeah.
It's like, we could make you 1 million different drinks. So, yeah, I mean, we say this every stream. It's nothing new. It's nothing against you, but for us to go through every single one of those players and to tell you, here are some names, that would take like 10, 15, 20 minutes. And then the people that you try and make those trades with might not even want those players. What you have to do is put the players on the trade block, see what offers come through, see what players are on that team, and then you come to the stream and say, these are the offers that I have. It's just,
and you're 8-1 right now.
Way too big.
Like, these are the bottom half of my roster. And they're the bottom half of your roster, you're 8-1. So, I mean, it looks like you have good enough depth, and these are your depth pieces.
So many questions. How big is your league? What's the scoring format? What do the other teams look like? What do they need? What are the preferences of those players? It's just too for us to give you an actual. We could just bullshit you. Yeah, trade for these players, but it's just not worth your time. Honestly, just being honest with you. Hopefully that's okay. It might not be what you want to hear, but Brendan says,
need Herbert to score at least 28. Just have been embarrassing quarterbacks here so far. Yeah, I mean, look, anything can happen. We just don't know. Just a really good secondary. So hopefully he scores 28. If not, then I don't know. Hopefully, good luck, brother. TM, Trey Rashad White, and a 24 third for Mostert and QJ. I'm a contending team. This is what I would say. I would be doing this trade because I would rather have Quentin Johnson long term. Somebody that drafted him. Drafted him in the first round, I'm assuming in one of your leagues, and he's happy to send it to you for Rashad White and a 24 third.
I don't really understand. I guess I do understand, but yeah, I wouldn't want to move QJ for that, and like there's a chance he's a bust for sure, but I don't think it's worth moving him right now. I'd rather is Quentin Johnston worth less than a third in a year from now? Probably not. People will still have he's a first round pick. It's going to take time. You could probably still sell him for a second next year, but
yeah.
Should I trade Gibbs for Bijan straight up? Would you rather have Gibbs or Bijan?
Good question.
I don't want to overreact too much to what we've seen, and I don't want to underreact either.
I think these guys are fairly even, though. I don't think these guys are going to outperform each other at any point in time. If you're telling me Bijan's getting the same amount of opportunities he's going to get for the past 2 games for the rest of the season, that's, I would say, equivalent to Jahmyr Gibbs, So,
yeah, in any world with logic, no one could look at the Falcons situation and say, oh, you drafted this guy top 10, and you're using a 4th round, 5th round pick over him. That makes sense. There's no world with any logic where that makes sense. Unfortunately, that world is Arthur Smith. That is his brain. And he is stuck on trying to prove people wrong. It's just, I can't think of a scenario in which anyone in any format they could justify this usage.
Yeah.
And the team isn't scoring that many points. And Jahmyr Gibbs' team is. So I would be willing to explore it, but I don't think I would be willing to give up on Bijan just yet. I would need something a little bit in return. Yeah. Strange. Joe Santo says, I need Eckler to get less than 22. It's possible. What's up, Chunky? He says, Nico or Debo rest of season? I'll go Debo.
Yeah, I agree.
Drop Nico for Dell. Would you drop Nico Collins for Tank Dell?
No, I wouldn't. Now, do I want Nico Collins? Well, I guess you're basically asking if I want Nico Collins or Tank Dell.
Exactly.
Man, that is an interesting question because
it really is.
Because these guys are like, who's leading the team in targets right now as a
It would
whole?
be Nico probably because
Nico,
Tank has been
50,
injured.
53 targets.
Tank's been
Tank,
injured, so
43.
it's
Yeah,
not
Tank's
really
been injured.
accurate. But here's what I'll say: like,
I don't think.
I would
Yeah, go
find
for it.
a way to roster both of these players because we need a couple more games to see what the trend is. If you asked anyone this question last week, they would say Nico Collins. Of course, we want to see if it's a trend or if it's inconsistent.
I actually don't. Yeah, I think that's what
you
it
need
is
to
for
find a
me.
way to roster both of these guys. But yeah,
I would agree. I don't think at least from what I'm thinking, when I'm seeing it, I just don't believe that he prefers one or another. Herbert is always going to Keenan. Jalen Hurts is always going to go to AJ Brown. I don't think CJ Stroud is always going to go to Nico.
yeah. I
He's
think
going to spread
it
the
will
ball.
be. So like if you pick up Tank Dell and you play him this week, Nico Collins could go off, and the same thing could be said if you do the opposite. I think that will be pretty consistent this year. Like I think one will go off and one will have an okay game. One will go off, one will have an okay game. I just don't think there'll be like a obvious play every single week. We did get a super chat from Max here. He was the one asking that question.
All right.
And now he's submitted a donation. Look, we will answer the question. It is a donation, but I mean we've been saying this since week 1. These aren't really questions that it's genuinely not worth it for you to donate because we're gonna tell you some information now, and it will likely be completely pointless for your league. It genuinely will, because what is more important is what the people in your league think, and that's where the door's open. But trade targets with Dotson. Dotson is not someone I would be actively looking to trade away because of the form that he's currently on with Curtis Samuel on an injury. Like if I'm in a 12-man league. But if you're going to trade him away, I guess he's saying like Dotson and B-Rob as a combination. If you're combining those two names, then ideally you look at upgrading at one of the positions that you need help at. Maybe you're good at running back and you need wide receiver help, or you just want to get like another stud somewhere. So, I mean, you could combine those names, try and go get,
That's what I'm saying. Like, this is what's so difficult. I can tell you that, like, well, Jahan Dotson and Brian Robinson, in my opinion, I think he's worth Brandon Ayuk.
Right.
And your league mate is going to come back.
Mind.
And your league mate is going to come back like, are you kidding me?
I don't want Dotson. They're going to tell you I don't believe in him, but Curtis Samuel's injured.
Yeah.
And the reason we're telling this because not only is it helpful for you to know, and we don't want you to, I don't know. We are trying to look out for people when we say that, but people keep asking those kind of questions. Really like the bigger question is, what does your league value these players as? That's why you put players on the trade block and you start conversations. Look at another team and say, hey man, I want this player. Is there a deal with Dotson and B-Rob that we can get a deal done? What we can help with better is if you have a trade offer, you come to the stream and donate or don't donate or whatever. And you're like, hey, here's the offer. Here's the context. That's where we can really, really help you. But, over on our fantasy hotline, we do that kind of thing where someone's like, hey man, I want to sell Cup. Here are the offers that I have. Here are the other teams. Those are the kind of things that we can do over there in that DM. But, I hope Max understands. But if cut, let's just give him some names. I think it's a pointless exercise, but I want to help him if we can, because he did donate. Let's give him some names. Brandon Ayuk definitely came to mind. If I was able to package those two, Dotson and B-Rob didn't mean anything to me. Mm-hmm. If I could package them, Brandon Ayuk definitely comes to mind.
I think of like an Amari Cooper.
And Olave comes to mind as well.
Yeah, Chris Olave. I think of
ideally, I can maybe upgrade at tight end. Can I get a Laporta, a Hawkinson? At running back, can I make that Jonathan Taylor somehow?
Yeah, Joe Mixon maybe.
Josh Jacobs,
Yeah.
So those are some ideas, but the unfortunate reality is, Max, is that you'll probably go to those owners, and most of them won't like the structure of the deal. They won't like those players, or they'll want a different deal. So I hope people understand. Like we're not trying to be rude. We want to answer as many questions as possible, but I don't know. I hope people can understand.
We appreciate the super chat though, Max. Thank you so much. Okay, Keaton, back to the top here.
It's
so
kind of a similar question here.
Okay.
Again, put Mostert on the trade block, see what offers come through, and come back and let us know. We'll help then. Hopefully that makes sense. MH says, what is Josh Jacobs worth? I'm in a desperate situation, full PPR, and need to win now, depending on a PPR. Needing a PPR wide receiver or two. Yeah, I would only trade Josh Jacobs away for a superstar wide receiver. I mean, with how difficult it is to have star running backs on your roster right now with the amount of injuries we've seen in the league, you don't trade Josh Jacobs away. And in fact, this is one of those coaching staffs where now that everyone's gone, you work into the ground a guy like Josh Jacobs. Like, we just paid him that amount of money to come back. You work him into the ground. This interim coaching staff is going to see him 20 plus touches every single game. Yeah. So I wouldn't trade him away unless you get a top 8 wide receiver.
Yeah, and he's finding his stride right now. He's running back 4 on the year so far. Like Zach said, top 8 wide receiver Keenan Allen, Amon-Ra, CeeDee, Puka.
But again, it is pointless because those people may not want to do those kind of deals. Hopefully that's helpful.
Yeah.
Lamar and Gus for Burrow and Achane. Lamar and Gus for Burrow and Achane.
I'll take
definitely
Burrow.
One that we can help with.
I'll take the Burrow and Achane one just because you hope for the high upside with Achane.
Yeah, and as good as Gus Edwards has been, he feels like a sell high to me. Not that I believe that Keaton is going to come and take all those opportunities, but I don't believe that he'll be a 20-plus point per game scorer rest of the year. I think it'll be more like what we saw from weeks 1 to 6 rather than weeks 7 to 9. I think you'll be in the fantasy playoffs, and you'll look at weeks 7 to 9, and you'll be like, damn, those were the good times. Remember when we were in the good times and we didn't know it? I think he'll give you 10 points a game, but I don't think he's a league winner like what we've seen currently.
I mean, Gus Edwards, to put it out there, he had the least amount of carries this past week, and he had the highest points in the running back room because he scored those touchdowns.
Variance is always going to happen. I mean, you saw positive regression these last 3 weeks. Mm-hmm. You'll see negative regression or just regression in the rest of the year with those touchdowns. So, variance is always happening.
It's always up there. Jackson, should I trade away DK, Warren, and Dak for Madison and Adams?
DK, Warren, and Dak for Madison and Adams. I wonder who your quarterback is. It sounds like you probably have a fine quarterback one already.
I don't think these are the guys I will be wanting to acquire, though.
I would be fine with it because of Adams over DK.
And I'd rather have Madison over Warren as well. But I feel like maybe you can pivot to, in the Madison realm, a better running back potentially.
Maybe not if this is the only owner he's got to deal with. But I'm purely wanting to get the best player, and I think that's Adams there. And I assume you have a good quarterback already on the roster if you're getting rid of Dak.
Yeah.
Stevenson or Javonte in week 10. I'm so glad we got Javonte back. He faces the Buffalo Bills, and it sounds initially like a bad matchup, but we've been saying this for weeks. It's actually a good matchup versus Buffalo. Mm-hmm. They give up a ton. They're giving up, I think, top 3 yards per attempt to opposing running backs. So you can run on them. Their defense is not the same. They've had a lot of injuries. This would be Javonte Williams for me. And I know that Ramondre had a great game, but Ramondre didn't see 20 touches in that game. He had a long touchdown that I'm not going to say saved his day because he's capable of that, but it's not something that I would say is prescriptive of this will happen. Meanwhile, Javonte Williams touched the ball 30 times last time they played, so and played his highest percentage of snaps this year. So it would be Javonte for me, but it is closer back to back.
Yeah, it is close. So I'm going Ramondre, but completely hear what you are saying there.
Kiwi, what's up, man? Dobbs, Heineke, T-Law, which 2 to start? This would be Dobbs and T-Law for me.
Yeah, it'd be Dobbs and T-Law as well.
Also, who would you rate? How would you rate the following? I guess like in order.
In order.
Um,
Oh man.
Man, if it's this week, it would be Gibbs, Deontay, Ford, Brian Robinson, Puka, Zay Flowers.
Zay Flowers is last for you, brother.
He had 1 target last week. How could I put him anywhere but last?
I mean, they didn't need him last week, though.
They haven't needed him the entire year. That's what's pissing me off about this team. Like, if Zay Flowers was drafted by the Chargers, I am convinced he would be a top 15 wide receiver this year. I'm convinced.
But
he's not. He's at a team that doesn't need him.
The times that they did need him, he was useful. Like, if you look back and look at the games against Houston, he was useful, and they were challenging because we were surprised about how they were coming out and scoring. The same thing against the Colts when they lost that game. We were surprised that they were scoring. Ever since that, it hasn't been
even versus
a competitive.
Even versus the Colts, he had 13 PPR points. That's fine.
He had 10 targets.
He's not a red zone target.
Mm-hmm.
He's not matchup proof, and he is my favorite. Like, if you're asking me who do you want their jersey, who's your favorite player? Zay Flowers would be my favorite player of these names. They don't use him. It's frustrating.
We'll be putting him over Brian Robinson, at least personally.
I can start Brian Robinson every week though.
I don't know. I'm personally I would do the same order, put it above Brian Robinson. Puka would be I would say Puka would be ahead of Deontay if Matthew Stafford's in, but if not,
yeah, I don't know if the question is this week or rest of the year. So that's
So I think if it's this week, I'm still going Zay because I think he will be utilizing this game. It's going to be a tough matchup, divisional game against the Browns.
I've literally been saying that for 3 weeks, dude. For 3 weeks in a row, I have been telling myself Zay Flowers is going to break out.
I get it. Maybe it's frustrating because maybe there was a lot of
I have fatigue. I don't know.
A lot of fatigue and expectation. Look, against Detroit, I get it. You
target him 1 time, dude?
I think against Detroit, I get it. Against Detroit, but the thing is, Detroit, they didn't need him either. But we expected that game to be a high-scoring game. The same way we expected the Seahawks to be a high-scoring game. Like, when I say high-scoring game, I mean a shootout.
Their defense is just too good to ever allow him to be a league winner this year.
Yeah, I get you. I can understand the frustration. I think he's actually going to be. He is going to get those PPR points when they need him. But yes, maybe. They don't need him.
If you look at the state of the running back position, 10 points at running back is more valuable than 10 points at wide receiver. So that's why I'm going Brian Robinson.
I hear you.
It doesn't really matter. Probably not.
Probably not. We'll see. Next week, the biggest games Zay Flowers had against some of the toughest.
I desperately want that.
So against the toughest matchup for a wide receiver.
Did anyone see the Lions getting dominated by the Ravens?
No, neither did the Seahawks. We didn't expect the Seahawks to get dominated.
This is what I'm saying, dude. I have been saying it over and over, and it has not worked.
I think the Cleveland Browns have one of the best defenses that they have seen this year so far.
Yeah, I don't disagree.
Well, technically, they saw them in week 2, and he got 10 fantasy points that game.
And he had 5 targets. It's just dumb. Like they are now forcing OBJ into this game plan because he's crying. And with all due respect, like, OBJ is not a better player than Zay Flowers.
Giants legend.
Yeah. Anyway.
All jokes. Anyways, all love for Zay. Favorite player, shit fantasy player, really not jokes. We'll wait and see. Can we get some bad defense play from the Ravens?
Dude,
that's what Zach's asking for here.
I genuinely, I know, we're probably going too long on this, but I genuinely get upset when I think about just how it could have been for Zay Flowers, because this was my concern when he was drafted. Was can I rely on a Ravens receiver? Maybe the offense has changed and they just haven't needed him, but this it is always going to frustrate me. This right here, Quentin over Zay, is always going to frustrate me because, and it's not disrespectful to Quentin Johnston. Zay Flowers would just fit so perfect in Los Angeles. He would be the perfect piece for that team. He complements Mike Williams. He complements Keenan Allen.
I think the same conversation, in my opinion, was being said with any wide receiver that was going to go to the Chargers. Like,
I disagree. Quentin Johnson does not complement Keenan Allen.
I would say
Quentin Johnson's best role is what Keenan Allen's doing. It made no sense to me.
Okay, that you know what, that is fair. I think then the next step would be Zay Flowers is going to be hindered by like if Mike Williams didn't get injured this year, or Mike Williams didn't get injured this year, he would be like, well, he's on one of the best. He's just not being utilized, and he's one of the best wide receivers. There's always the two sides of the coin there, because
that's the difference in how we viewed Zay and Quentin coming into the draft. Because I know you loved him. I think Zay Flowers is more NFL ready, and I think he would have stepped into a role much quicker than Quentin if he was there.
Right. That's fair.
That's just a different conversation altogether. And we are wasting people's times, but hopefully people enjoy the conversations. Anyway.
Next
Trade
question.
Pollard. We talked about questions like this, guys. It's just too broad. What I would say in general is, and call me ignorant, I still view Pollard as a buy low because the fatigue is setting in hard, and the matchups that are coming up are very good. Regression is on the way. The offense looks good. Tony Pollard is a good player. It's just not been good for fantasy, and there are good matchups ahead. I don't think it's the right time to sell him.
Yeah, I think it just depends for who. Is the bigger question, but I just don't think he is kind of doing what we hoped and expected this year. But yes, the better matchups are on the way. So hopefully, the thing is, do you risk the better matchups during the playoffs, or do you get the absolute guarantee? I think I would rather get the absolute guarantee.
I don't think there is any guarantee. That's the thing. Like, people, see, this is the thing. Like, we all shape our opinions on a player based off what they've done in the last 4 weeks, but that doesn't always determine what's happening in the 4 weeks beyond that. And that's the issue. It's, what did you think about Bijan Robinson in week 1? It's just the trends aren't always sticky. I mean,
sure. Look, I agree. I hear you. It's the same thing with anyone we can talk about. You talk about Raheem Mostert.
He's a talented player on a good offense that is getting volume.
Yeah. I hear you.
It's not worth selling him right now. I don't think you get proper value in return.
DJ Revenge Game is a must start. You love to see it.
He is not a must start for me if Tyson Bagent is a quarterback.
If Justin Fields comes back, which I don't know what that looks like, actually. We'll get some more information throughout the week. It could be
if Justin plays, I agree. He starts.
Michael, hey guys, got to start somebody next week at quarterback since Tua is on a bye. I have Kyler on the bench, but I can pick up Watson or Dobbs. You start. I'm happy to start Kyler Murray this week. Mm-hmm. He, if I'm not mistaken, doesn't have a tough matchup. He's playing against the Atlanta Falcons.
Sorry.
Mistaken. Did it sound like that?
Yeah. Yeah, it'd be Kyler for me. I mean, I did my rankings this morning for week 10, and they'll change throughout the week. He's my quarterback 9 this week. So yeah, I'm excited for him. I'm excited to have him back.
It should definitely be good to see.
And by the way, perfect timing, because in my Dynasty League, I have Patrick Mahomes and Joe Burrow in our home Dynasty League in Superflex. And Pat Mahomes is on bye, so it couldn't have worked out better.
Fleecing people. Alex, Stephon Diggs, and Swift for T. Higgins and Etienne. I personally think that this is a very even trade. I'd rather have Stephon Diggs over Higgins, and I'd rather have Etienne over Swift. So it kind of cancels things out for me here.
Yeah.
That
is a tough one. I'm not gonna lie. That is a very difficult one.
I know Diggs. What did Diggs do this other?
Here's my issue with selling Etienne is there's a chance Etienne is not as good in the rest of the year than he has been in the last 5 weeks or whatever it's been. But I just think that kind of running back is so rare in fantasy right now. Whereas with Diggs, I also believe he's a rare piece, but it's easier to find starting wide receivers than superstar running backs, you know? So, like, for example, will the difference in points per game between Swift and ETN be higher than Higgins and Diggs rest of the year? That's tough. I think, obviously, like, your team is important here as well. Like, if you get rid of ETN, is it now Swift and Brian Robinson, for example? Because that doesn't feel good. So, yeah, I mean, this is a dead even trade.
But this is dead even trade. I would say I am leading Diggs and Swift. So you get the higher PPR points in Swift and Diggs, excuse me. But DeAndre,
if it's half PPR, does that change for you? Because half PPR, I'm confidently ETN and Higgins. But PPR, it's even for me.
I don't think it changed too much in half PPR, in my opinion.
Okay. I just think Higgins is a much more valuable guy in a half PPR format. But
I understand. And Swift, for me, I think Swift is on a tremendous offense that is going to constantly score no matter the matchup, whether it's difficult or not. I know he had he had a tough matchup this week.
Just be Gainwell, their goal line running back, though.
Maybe, or they just do the tush push and no one gets touchdowns.
The tush push is stopping DeAndre Swift from having 17 touchdowns this year.
Yeah.
But
I hear
anyway.
you. Hopefully that helps.
Rashad White or Tony Pollard. See, this is where I would stick with Pollard.
I hear you. I would stick with Pollard as well. I mean, White has been having 2 back-to-back decent games.
Good matchups though. Really good matchups. Buffalo is a good matchup, and Houston is a great matchup too.
Exactly.
But upcoming, he has Tennessee, which
Fran.
they're a good front. San Francisco, which they could have figured it out now with the trades they made. So it's tough.
It is tough. Let's do quick fire here. We're only going to be live next
3 minutes.
3 minutes here. Sorry for all the rants, but plenty of time throughout the week, huh, guys? Don't panic here. Jimmy, should I pick up? Keaton Mitchell or drop Singletary, Hunt, Algier?
Yeah, I would drop Singletary at this point, and I think the stash was right. It was right to stash Singletary because all the opportunities came. It just didn't matter in this offense. I think what we are all probably realizing is there's not a running back you want in this offense. It might be the least attractive backfield in the NFL right now for fantasy.
Yeah, I would agree here. Nick, I have Herbert. My opponent has Eckler, and I'm 1 point above them. Anything can happen, brother. Good
I have no idea,
luck.
Dude. Clench your cheeks and pray.
Samuel, Week 10 defense. Cincinnati versus Houston, Seattle versus Washington. I will be going Seattle. Most sacked quarterback in the NFL right now is Sam Howell. Ruben, Kincaid, and Moore for Javonte. Moore as in Elijah Moore.
There's a lot of Moores there that it could be.
Yeah, or
Elijah Moore down below. He said Elijah.
Okay,
Moore.
Elijah Moore. So Dalton Kincaid and Elijah Moore for Javonte Williams. Already have Kelsey. Full PPR have Cooper.
Here's I'll just quickly say, like, I do think Kincaid is the truth. He and Knox do not offer you the same thing.
No.
And even though Knox has been injured, I just don't see how Kincaid is not an integral part of that passing offense from here on out when Knox is back.
Force-fed him targets.
They did.
The only catch he didn't have was the one that he fumbled, technically.
Yeah. And, with Javonte, it's interesting because he just got 30 touches.
I think the bigger question is your running backs, Jonathan Taylor and Jerome Ford. My thing is, I don't know.
Does he say he has them?
Well, he says full PPR have Cooper, Johnson, Flowers, Ridley, Moore, Taylor, and Ford. So I'm assuming that's Jonathan Taylor and Ford. I would say this. I think with your depth here, Kincaid looks like a good start to have in your flex over someone like a Johnston, over someone like, I would even say maybe even Calvin Ridley, depending on weeks. Some will say even Zay Flowers as well.
Yeah. I think the way you approach this is actually different, because you're fine at running back. So I would instead of packaging Kincaid and Elijah Moore, and let's be honest, like Elijah Moore is not really worth anything.
Yeah.
I think you package like Kincaid and Cooper, or Kincaid and Ridley, or Kincaid and Flowers, and you go hard on a superstar running back. Like, You get a Josh Jacobs. You know, you get a Saquon. To a team that has no tight end. I like Javonte Williams. I don't know. Maybe we're being too harsh, but I just feel like we still need a little more security, a little more consistency before we can give up on Kincaid there. Kiko,
last one here. 12-team half PPR. I have Stroud and Kyler. Is it worth trading Kyler and Devontae Adams for Burrow, or Kyler and Puka? Is it worth trading Kyler and Devontae Adams for Burrow?
No.
You have Stroud. I mean, is this a super flex league? I'm assuming this is one quarterback.
Yeah.
If this is one quarterback, if it's one quarterback for us, no.
Yeah, I mean, I don't really understand why that would be the case, like the Kyler and Adams for Burrow, because then you would have Burrow and Stroud. And that's just, in a one quarterback league, you're just asking to be frustrated every week with not knowing who to start. But I would say I would do Kyler for Puka. Like, if you have Stroud, or if you can do Stroud for Puka, either way, I would do that, because I do think that Matthew Stafford is coming back, and then Puka becomes a must-start every week when that happens.
Yeah. No, I get you.
That is it for today, guys. We're going to go watch this game, but we will be live tomorrow throughout the week. So we appreciate y'all, and we'll see you soon. All love.
Love.